YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here in Rome Total War. I keep forgetting it's not one of the newer titles where it's Total War first. And then it's like when we'd always say, oh yeah, we call it Rome 2 Total War and all that stuff first. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to go back the other way. But anyway, got you a fun 1 versus 1 here on the original Rome Total War. And in Rome 2, the Iceni were in the last patch, kind of a disappointing faction. In multiplayer, that is. They were still quite fun in campaign. But the Britain faction, Britannia as they are here, are actually pretty darn decent in Rome 1 if you use them right. Now, I'm not a master of using them right, but they have some interesting tools. You can bring like a lot of slingers, which are dirt cheap. You've got British barbarian warlord chariots, which are pretty stout chariots. You got units like these woad warriors, which are like fast-moving, great for outflanking, running stuff down. They specifically have the fast-moving trait, which made them very quick. And then you've got light chariots, which are an archer units. And one thing I always liked about the chariots is that they have like the little Britannia license plate on them, you know, so that whenever your enemy has been run over in scythe, he can look up in agony and say, "Oh, I was hit by the Britannia." I also like how the guys have like a little skin in the cart there, you know, so whenever it's time to sit down and eat lunch, it's a little more comfortable. You know, just have all those amenities that come with your typical British chariot. The nice thing is at least these chariots have scythes on them, whereas the ones in Rome 2 don't have scythes, yet you just run people over with them to kill them. So it's like, we're going to run over you with a light wood chariot. Kind of random, but it's the way it works. So my opponent had these Archer Auxilia. He's playing against the Julii, and I forgot what kind of long range these guys have, and they open up all over my British light chariot that came to this flank, because they have this hill position. And on Rome 1, and probably on Medieval 2 also, your archers will get a range bonus from the high ground. It's pretty neat, actually. So yeah, the Julii player, let's take a look at what he's got, and then we'll take a look at my army. So it looks like cohorts Urbana here, or urban cohorts, with some decent upgrades, 4 upgrades each. 2 Praetorian Cav. There was no rule, so my opponent has decided to bring onagers, which is fine with me. They're pretty worthless for the most part. So I'm already around my opponent with the light chariots, and he did kill a couple of them. He's using flaming arrows too, which he shouldn't be. The flaming arrows really just kind of scare enemy units, but it's going to make them less accurate and stuff as well. So he shouldn't be using flaming arrows at this point. That's what you want to use whenever you're trying to just kind of cause a rout, because the flaming shot has the fear effect on Rome 1 as well. So I get into Cantabrian Circle that actually worked on Rome 1. You can see my chariots here firing from Cantabrian Circle. There's very few of them in each unit, but they actually get kills. So again, there's something about, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people who said Rome 1 was better than Rome 2. It really wasn't. It had a lot of things good about it, though, that I wish could have made their way back. But graphics-wise and just scope of campaign, number of factions, many things in my mind that made Rome 2 better. But like, say, for instance, the fact that Cantabrian Circle works. I like the way archers work better in Rome 1. I like the way that units collide with each other better in Rome 1. Like, there's a lot of things like that I like. But there's a lot of stuff I really like better about Rome 2 as well. Obviously, the graphics are much better. The naval battles added, all the other factions, the larger campaign map, just all the different options, the newer stuff. So anyway, enough about that. So slingers, I've got 3 slingers, 6 chosen swordsmen. I believe I have 5 barbarian warlord heavy chariots. And then I've got a couple of head hurlers here, and then the woad warriors. I'm going to swing the woad warriors wide around the flank. They're a fast unit. My opponent's going to just camp on his hill position and fire his artillery. He kind of has to. And the artillery is pretty underwhelming, but with a few good hits, it can cause some damage. And even a little bit of damage kind of sucks for me, because these urban cohorts with just a couple upgrades are going to be more than a match for the mostly gold upgraded chosen swordsmen that I have. So I'm definitely going to have to use my chariots well. And these are not like side chariots on Rome 2. They do not just obliterate infantry at will. You actually have to use them fairly decently. They do, however, obliterate cavalry at will. That's the main difference. They are very good against cavalry, which kind of makes sense. My general's unit just took a big flaming shot there as well and killed a couple of the chariots. My opponent's definitely done this to try and force me to attack. He's not protecting his flank though, and my fast-moving wood warriors get into his onager and just immediately force it off. And then there's a frightened by chariots effect as well that's at play. So yeah, my wood warrior's getting in here and going to cause a lot of damage to the enemy artillery. This is going to give my slingers time to fire at his archer auxilia. You can see I actually have this barbarian warlord up pretty close at the moment. And then my head hurlers move in, and these guys literally throw severed heads. You can see them there, and for whatever reason, the severed heads covered in some kind of chemical warfare or something, I don't know, but they are extremely good. You can see I've just wrecked this urban cohort, but I was a little too slow with my actions here to protect the head hurlers. But I basically ruin an urban cohort unit without much problem, and I still have a little ammo left. But that Praetorian Cav comes in. I go ahead and send in my barbarian warlords. And you can see that these Praetorian Cav just get absolutely eaten alive by the chariots. Just completely massacred. So yeah, cavalry, heavy cavalry versus chariots in this game is not a good plan. I did send this unit in a little premature though, and it was a light chariot. I thought it was a heavy chariot, so they did falter versus the Praetorian Cav, but still managed to kill a number of them. And at this point, I'm just trying to get at some of the enemy archers. My chariot unit comes in, again, a little bit premature here, but I'm going to go ahead and get it back away from combat. You can see that it didn't just decimate this infantry unit like it would on Rome 2. And these guys are kind of stuck, and they'll probably get caught and killed here, I'm guessing. Yeah, I've got a lot of slinger fire coming in too, but you can see the slinger fire not going to do much against the armor of the Praetorians. They're also very well shielded. So my slingers will have little effect. That chariot actually made it away alive. Unbelievable. Yeah, here comes another chariot charge, trying to wreck up the Praetorian Cav, and I did manage to damage it considerably. And I've actually got some of their archers away from the main group because they were left on skirmish, and they're going to be run down and destroyed by my British chariots. I actually think that Britain is a decent counter to Rome in this game. A lot of people think Rome is completely OP, and it is quite strong because of the urban cohort Praetorian Cav combination. But the Britons do have some tools that are very hard for the Romans to deal with. The chariots are one, and then you have head hurlers are one that can be very useful for the British or Britannian player as well. Again, hurling in stones all over these guys, but the slingers are just not going to be wildly effective. They would need to hit these guys from behind to have any real effect. I forgot how inept slingers are from the front. My woad warriors came back from routing. You can see these guys painted blue with woad here, very nice. And they are very fast moving. See how quick these guys get around the battlefield. And that's the main reason why I brought them. That was my general being killed by a fire pot from an onager. So I took the onagers not very seriously, and it just so happened that it managed to kill my general, who is now this charred corpse. But again, at least that skin there is going to give his corpse some comfort in the afterlife. So very, very nice. My opponent's making some kind of urban cohort noob square here. I'm going to throw the rest of my severed heads in at his urban cohorts. I don't have a whole lot left, and I'm also drawing Pilla out of his urban cohorts, which is a huge mistake. It's not what he wants to do. And I think I'm trying to pepper this unit here in the rear with the slinger fire, and it's still not doing much. But you can see all the Roman units are frightened from the chariots, but again, these are urban cohorts. It's going to take a lot more than that to scare them off the field. I have quite a bit of ammo left with my slingers, and so I spend some time using it. But again, slingers very different on this game than they were on Rome 2. You can see even hitting these guys in the rear, it's very little damage. Slingers were pretty underwhelming, with the exception of the Rhodians, and the Balearic slingers were okay. Anyway, I bring my woad warriors in to attack the artillery crew again. Just make sure if these guys are still having some ammo that I'm disrupting them after having my general get killed. I'm going to bring my sword assault onto the enemy front. And you can see my chosen swordsmen, they do have a decent charge. My opponent really probably should have countercharged me, but my chosen swordsman will do fairly nice against the urban cohorts on the charge. It's the extended combat that really won't suit them as well, but I intend to bring my chariots in and just mob the enemy backlines, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So now I've got chariots all over enemy backlines, and you can see I'm trying to crash into the rear of the enemy infantry and just kind of keep my chariots rolling. Heavy infantry, though, can bog chariots down. But yeah, here you can see me just kind of getting into the back of these units. My chariots just keep moving. I don't know how they're doing it, but they do continue to move. And but you can see that, again, the urban cohort's extremely resilient units. And even being mobbed and frightened by chariots and attacked in the rear and losing, they are still fighting impetuously against my chosen swordsmen, to the extent that actually some of my chosen sword units I think actually rout. But I just keep my relentless chariot assault going. The enemy general breaks free. He's still alive with 4 units left and starts chasing slingers. But that means the general's no longer here to support the morale of his troops either. And I'm just ping-ponging these chariots every which way. And my opponent's not getting a whole lot of chance to hit them and kill them because I won't keep them still. And slowly they are turning the tide of this battle. You can see an urban cohort routes here, and then it becomes pretty contagious, the rout is. So, but again, still quite a bit of work that has to be done with these chariots.
The enemy warlord shows
The enemy general starts to rout, and that's what it took to break the Romans. So his artillery did better than I thought it would, but I still think it was probably a waste. He could have had more units and had I think with more infantry, I'm not sure if I would have been able to win this fight. Cavalry, if he would have brought more of it, I think it would have been worthless because my chariots ate up what cavalry he had, and it wouldn't have been hard to eat up anymore. But if he would have brought more infantry, I definitely think it would have been a problem, like some auxilia or something like that have a bonus versus chariots. It would have been pretty rough for me, but fun battle. I really do like the Britannia on Rome 1. They were a very interesting faction, and I think sometimes an underestimated faction. They were kind of squishy with a lot of their units, but woad warriors, slingers, head hurlers, all those things can really work wonders in the right situations. So definitely something to be aware of. If we look at the casualties inflicted, obviously getting some nice kills on one of my barbarian warlords, probably the one that got the archers. The rest of them, nothing overwhelming as far as kills go. There weren't actually a ton of Romans on the battlefield. But if you look, the head hurlers, these are all urban cohort kills. So basically taking out half of an urban cohort unit with the head hurler, even though they got charged by cavalry. So you can see that if you brought a large number of these guys, they can wreck entire enemy infantry lines as long as they're protected properly by the heavy chariots. And that's what a lot of players would do. You'd bring up a line of head hurlers, and then right behind them you'd have a bunch of your heavy chariots so that the enemy cavalry can't strike them, and the head hurlers ruin an enemy infantry line, basically. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this throwback to Rome. Some of you might be like, where's the Napoleon? Where's the Empire? I just had to re-download those games onto my computer. So I have them. I can start getting to them once I get back from my business trip. I'm going to be gone Monday through Thursday of this coming week, or this week. While you're watching, it's probably that week, so like whatever that is, like the 23rd through the 26th, something like that. I'm going to be gone. So the stuff you'll be watching during this time has been pre-recorded by me. I know there's going to have been a patch and a DLC release in Attila. I'll cover it just as soon as I get back. Until then, you can look. Other players will have stuff up. And yeah, so all this has been recorded then. I will make sure to keep an eye on the comments to see what you all are looking for and try and bring you some of it whenever I get home. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you soon.